to the conference. My topic is expecting the importance of landscape approach for resilient city design. Because my English speaking is not so well, please be patient. And thank you for joining. My abstract is about climate change. The sooner we face up to the challenges it presents, the better of us and the future generations will be. We see persistent flooding in Taiwan under heavy rains and typhoons. Hsieh is a vulnerable community in Taipei, Taiwan, and these compounding disasters have been for decades. My research concerns how to plan for urban climate adaptation in ways that improve environmental sustainability. Climate change adaptation emphasizes that the vector of cross-discipline cooperation. Urban development is an interdisciplinary program. Integrate ecological resilience through landscape approach and the green infrastructure systems to avoid nature counterattack. Here is my outline of my study. The city builds artificial environments through its long time history and become increasingly complex. How we choose to manage urbanization will have consequences for our future. Advances in technology allow human activities such as exploiting natural resources, leading to a human impact on the environment. Urbanization is making the natural environment become an artificial surface. Here is a global map to illustrate that more than 77% of land and 87% of ocean have been modified by the direct effort of human activity. The man of the world's only remaining natural wilderness is the land in dark blue and the ocean in the light blue. With the rate of ongoing urbanization and the catastrophic shrinking of nature, we can see that the United Nations report more than 55% of world's population lives in urban areas, and a proportion that is expected to increase to 68% by 2050. City development and land use are about the things that fundamentally shape our worldview. So I emphasize that we are reshaping human society on the artificial earth. But existing infrastructure and city planning practice are not sustainable. Because the huge population in the city, the density fertility sometimes benefits such as improving infrastructure and the service efficiency and minor land consumption. It means the reduce the environmental damage than city sparkle. City and ecological systems are inextricably linked. However, engineering often with little regard for ecological implications. Nation capital is vital for resilience and provide service for our well-being. We should emphasize link to ecological environment ability and enhance a multifunctional green infrastructure to counteract climate change and urban land use. This paper will focus on the effort of climate change and the urbanization environment. It will emphasize how the infrastructure building capacity to adapt to change, flood resilience in urban areas, and the future of urban planning landscape strategy. Hsieh in the paper Eco-Engineering for Water mentioned that water as a critical element of nature will play a significant role in that rebalancing. In the paper Thinking Urban Metabolism, Gandhi said that engineered hydraulic infrastructure, largely hidden beneath city streets, concentrate measures tackle urban pollution. For Gandhi, better understood by more relational rather than functional linear notion of urban metabolic system. In the paper Programming the Urban Surface, Alex Wall said that an emphasis on synthesizing the surface as a ground for future events is again to recover landscape as an essential strategy practice, staging the conditions for uncertain future to unfold. Landscape architecture, assuming a more role in addressing the regional and ecological questions that face society, such as can have the potential to support wildlife robustness by providing a more suitable habitat. This study focused on the development plans of 社子岛 and based on the research method of content analysis. Associate series to discuss resilient and green infrastructure to work with nature and the landscape approach. 社子岛 is a sandbar located at the convergence of Keelung River and Danshui River in Taipei City. In the past, 社子岛would flood under heavy rain and typhoons. Climate change impacts 社子岛 security and development. Most houses of 社子岛 are irregular architectural structure. Indicate 社子岛 was a vulnerable community where many are low-income renters. In 2080, residents got to vote online to determine a redevelopment. Residents of 社子岛 use the iVoting system to choose a plan named Ecological 社子岛. The land use area cover about 157 hectares, including residential area, commercial area, science and technology area, and the detention basin, all included in 200-year flood protection standards. Flood damage prevent plan mark out 社子岛 as a detention basin to reduce flood risk in other parts of Taipei. It has been designed as a development restricted zone about half century. Because the other part of Taipei developed, the impact are more and more higher. 社子岛 communities subsequently demand more protection for themselves. The government developed a participation program to encourage residents to vote. The community in the local referendum chose an ecological 社子岛 plan. The population capacity was set about 32,000 residents, a capacity of just about 3 times the current population. Green infrastructure is installed before urbanization occurs and create greater livable within a region, such as public parks, sustainable urban drainage system, greenways. Landscape strategy is tended for leisure and farm management purpose, and protecting the native species and habitats, including 9.65 meter embankment and the rehabilitation of Keelung River and the surrounding wetland area to improve 社子岛 flood prevention and river protection measure. The Center River is a stormwater control structure, and the street area green infrastructure is a kind of low-impact development measure. It lets rainfall enter the natural water cycle to provide a ecological surrounding. They provide retention and the treatment of contained stormwater runoff with a capacity of 200,000 cubic meters. Urban facility system managers face many challenges, so opens a significant opportunity to reimagine lifestyle and transformation. Although 社子岛 low-impact development master plan through embankment construction and high backfilling, the landscape approach initiated 社子岛 is still efficient, working to return area of land affected by the urban landscape to a more natural state. By applying landscape practice to integrate the natural ecological system and urban infrastructure. For example, collecting rainwater provides various habitat and flooding regulation, offers a multi-function urban space. The disaster that causes a single facility damage can lead to the failure of a system. The environmental strategy to climate change should cross-disciplinary cooperation, because urban development is an interdisciplinary program, and we should seek to synthesize both perspectives. But first, our city should consider the natural environment as the core connection. The climate factor was always been a vital consideration factor of our scientific and technology development projects. We should apply ecological design innovation strategies to face climate change as a breaking through in traditional technological thinking. Through a development approach that with the concept of work with nature to integrate the landscape architecture, ecologic, hydrologic, urban planning, and other disciplines of cooperation process, so that the urban environment, ecological, and the social interlinkage, design-led innovation, and work across multiple fields can alternate traditional planning. Many different sciences use the term resilience, and then resilience is described as a bridge to potential disciplines. Although sometimes the various definition or focus points may be misleading, what is more, the concept can be integrated into the other disciplines to increase urban sustainability, can facilitate the participation of all relevant disciplines to collaborate. Historian Thomas discussed the theory of large technology systems, suggests that radical change to previous system is unlikely to come from the system builders. The case of 社子岛 reflects a planning obstacle that is commonly found in Taiwan. Urban planning in 社子岛 is currently focused on residential zones. Chris Hanks discussed that, even so, consider the risks inherent in the current system. It is vital that transportation occurs. Green infrastructure integrated landscape architecture design approach is imperative from reaching a sustainable future, but in which cleaning up pollution or provide green amenities increase local property value. In accompanied by gentrification, it have an ambiguous social impact if the poor, especially renters, are displaced or forced to pay higher house costs.